Hi guys, welcome to this page of the notes. And here's the last thing we're going to look at dealing with trapezoids. And this is for any trapezoid. I know we just did a bunch of problems dealing specifically with an isosceles trapezoid, but this property applies to any trapezoid at all, and it's simply the trapezoid mid-segment theorem. Really simple theorem. Here's the way it works. All it says is this. The mid-segment of a trapezoid is simply going to be a line that connects the midpoint of each of the legs, right? So you're going to find the point that bisects the legs of your trapezoid. This leg and this leg, find its midpoint, and then connect to those two midpoints. What that's going to do is it'll give you the mid-segment, and there are some really interesting things about the mid-segment of a trapezoid. First, the mid-segment of a trapezoid will be parallel to the bases of the trapezoid. So all three of these lines are going to be parallel. Then, really I guess, while as important as that is really what we're going to use, the majority of the more important one is this. The mid-segment is equal to 1/2 the sum. It's half the sum of the lengths of the bases. So you will take the lengths of the bases, add them together, and divide by 2. That will get you the length of the mid-segment. That's it. That's all it is. You will simply connect the midpoints of the legs, connect those midpoints, you get a mid-segment. The mid-segment is parallel to the base sides of the trapezoid, and that mid-segment is 1/2 the sum of those base sides. Let's try a couple of problems. You will quickly catch on and see how this works. I want you to find xy. I tell you that we're going to use the mid-segment theorem to find the length of the mid-segment. So here we go. There's xy. How do I know it's a mid-segment? Well, remember, a midpoint splits a line segment in half. That means that the sides on either side of it are congruent. Fx is congruent to xe. That means that x is the midpoint. Hy is congruent to yg. That means that y is the midpoint. And since those 2 points are connected, it has to be a mid-segment. All right, so please don't overcomplicate this. It is a very, very simple idea. I have a mid-segment. What is my equation? Well, it's simply this. I don't want red. Let's do black. Xy, the mid-segment, is equal to 1/2 the sum of the bases. That would be EH and FG. How do I know the bases? Well, remember, the mid-segment is going to be parallel to those base sides. So figure out which two sides your mid-segment is parallel to, add those base sides together, and divide by 2. So it's going to be HE plus GF. Right, well at this point guys, it's plug and chug, right? Don't fat finger something on your calculator. These really should be pretty straightforward problems. 1/2 HE is 12.5. GF is 10.3. Add them up, divide by 2, you get 11.4. Now, a really sort of an interesting way that makes sense to check your answer. Because we are taking a sum and then dividing by 2, all you're doing is finding the average. You're simply finding the average of the two base sides. What that means is your mid-segment should be between the two, right? 12.5 and 10.3. My mid-segment will be a number that's between those lengths. So 11.4 is less than 12.5, but 11.4 is greater than 10.3. So as long as my number comes out in the middle, I feel pretty good about what I got. Let's keep going. Try another one. All right, the diagram right here. Again, I'm asking you to find JM. Oh, interesting. Look at this. Here's what I've done. Please notice that JM is one of my bases for this trapezoid. JM is a base, not the midsegment, it's a base. So, we're going to change things up on you a little bit. First, the midsegment. PQ. Well, that midsegment is equal to 1/2 the sum of the base sides. That's KL plus JM. Start plugging stuff in. We're going to solve for our only unknown. I know PQ. They tell me that PQ is 9.8. That's equal to 1/2. They tell me that KL is 8.3. JM is the only one I don't know. So we're going to solve for it. Okay guys, please make sure that you are using your algebra skills correctly here, right? I need to solve for JM, right? But the first thing I'm going to have to do, right, is I got to get rid of this 1/2. Well, since I have division by 2, how do I move it to the other side? Yeah, I got to multiply that 2 to the other side. So 9.8 times 2 is going to be 19.6. 8.3 plus JM. All right, it's a positive 8.3. Subtract 8.3 to the other side. JM is going to be 11.3. All right, now again, really interesting point here, right? Please remember that my midsegment, right, should be a number between the lengths of the bases. I have 8.3. My midsegment is 9.8. So that means JM has to be longer than 9.8. And in fact it is. It's 11.3. So I feel good about my answer. I got one more for you here. Again, not because these are tricky, but just because they're kind of fun to do. And being able to write the equation is really important. So my midsegment, right there, XY. That's my midsegment. That is equal to 1/2 PQ plus RS, right? These are my base sides. There's a base side, there's a base side. We add them together. Add them together, divide by 2. That'll get me my midsegment. But hold on. Here's some interesting stuff for you. Here's what I tell you. I tell you in the trapezoid that PQ is equal to 2 times the length of RS. 2 times the length of RS. I actually need to solve that problem first. Here we go. PQ is equal to 2 times RS. Well, I already know what PQ is. It's 16.8 is equal to 2 times RS. So, how do I solve for RS? Well, since I'm multiplying by 2 here, how do I move multiplication to the other side? Or how do I undo multiplication? I got to divide both sides by 2. So we'll divide both sides by 2, and we get that RS is equal to 8.4. Well, now we're all set. I know that PQ is 16.8. I know RS is 8.4. Plug and chug, don't fat finger something on your calculator, and coo-coo-choo, you got yourself your answer. 16.8 plus 8.4. Again, I plug that into my calculator and I get 12.6. Again, check to make sure that it falls between. My shortest side is 8.4. 12.6 is definitely bigger than 8.4. My longest side is 16.8. And 12.6 is less than 16.8. So since it falls in the middle, I feel really good about it. All right, what we're going to do on the next page of the notes is sort of summarize the information that we've gone over here so far about quadrilaterals. So head on over to the next page of the notes. I'll meet you there.